The alien woman woke up in a military hospital with no memory of who she was. No past. No identity. No home. But carved permanently into her skin was a human name. Captain Elias Ward, Terran Fleet. And the strangest part? Captain Elias Ward had never seen her before in his life. Yet the moment she opened her eyes, she asked for him. The survivor from the wreck. The message reached Captain Elias Ward while he was still in his combat armor. The war against the Zirath Dominion had pushed the Terran fleet to its limits. Ward had been awake for 30 hours commanding defense patrols around the frontier colony Orion Gate. So when the medical officer called him to the hospital wing, Ward expected another injured soldier. Instead, the doctor handed him a tablet. "You need to look at this," she said. Ward glanced down. The image showed a young alien woman lying inside a recovery pod. Her skin shimmered faintly like liquid silver, and thin glowing lines ran along her arms. She was clearly not human. "Species?" Ward asked. "Valori," the doctor replied. "They're part of the Alliance, but we rarely see them this far out." Ward nodded slowly. Then he noticed the tattoo. 6 words written in bold black Terran ink. Captain Elias Ward, Terran Fleet. Ward blinked. "That's my name." The doctor nodded. "Yes. And she woke up asking for you." The girl with no memory. The hospital room was quiet when Ward entered. The Valori woman sat on the edge of the bed, her long silver hair falling over her shoulders. She looked fragile, almost delicate, but her glowing blue eyes were sharp and alert. When she saw Ward, her posture straightened. "You're here," she said softly. Ward stopped near the doorway. "You asked for me." She nodded. "Yes." Her voice trembled slightly. "Are you Captain Elias Ward?" Ward crossed his arms. "That depends. Why is my name tattooed on your arm?" The girl looked down at the mark. Her expression filled with confusion. "I don't know." Ward frowned. "You don't know?" "I remember nothing." Her eyes lifted again. "I don't know my name. I don't know where I came from." She touched the tattoo gently. "But I know this name matters." Ward studied her carefully. "You've never met me before." "I know." "Then why is my name on your arm?" The girl hesitated. "I wish I could answer that." A strange cultural meaning. A Valori cultural expert soon arrived with an explanation. And the explanation only made things stranger. Among the Valori, tattoos were extremely rare. Their skin regenerated quickly, which made permanent markings almost impossible. But in ancient Valori tradition, there was one type of mark that could never be removed. It was called the Guardian Mark. The expert spoke carefully. When a Valori believes someone will protect them above all others, they mark that person's name permanently. Ward rubbed his forehead. "You're saying she chose me as some kind of guardian?" "Yes. But I've never even met her." The expert shrugged. "Then the mystery is even deeper than we thought." The enemy who was hunting her. Before Ward could ask more questions, alarms began to echo across the base. Red warning lights flashed in the hallway. Ward's combat instincts activated instantly. "What's happening?" he asked. A voice came through the intercom. "Unknown fleet entering the system." Ward walked quickly toward the command console. Sensors were already displaying the approaching ships. His stomach tightened. "Zirath destroyers," he muttered. The enemy had arrived. And they had arrived fast. Too fast. Ward turned slowly back toward the Valori girl. "Did anyone know you were here?" She shook her head. "I don't think so." Ward stared at the tactical display again. 5 enemy ships were moving directly toward the base. Not toward the colony. Not toward the fleet. Directly toward this location. Ward felt a cold realization settle in his mind. "They're not here for us," he said quietly. "They are here for you." The first strange ability. The Valori girl suddenly grabbed her head. Her glowing eyes widened. Ward stepped forward. "What's wrong?" I see something, she whispered. What do you see? Her voice trembled. Ships. Ward pointed at the display. Yes, we know that. She shook her head. No. Her finger moved toward the star map. Not those ships. She pointed to empty space several million kilometers away. There. Ward frowned. There's nothing there. But the sensor officer suddenly spoke. Captain, wait. Everyone turned toward him. I'm detecting faint energy signatures. He zoomed in on the coordinates. And suddenly several stealth ships appeared on the screen. Hidden ships. Enemy ships. Exactly where the girl had pointed. Ward looked slowly back at her. How did you know that? The girl stared at the screen in confusion. I don't know. Her voice was barely a whisper. But I could feel them. The captain's decision. The command room fell silent. Ward looked between the tactical display and the girl. Hidden enemy ships. Perfectly predicted. And the tattoo with his name. None of it made sense. But one thing was clear. The enemy had come here for a reason. And whatever that reason was, it involved the girl. Ward finally made his decision. He turned toward the officers around him. Prepare interceptor squadron. Yes, sir. Then he looked back at the girl. What do I call you? She hesitated. I don't know my name. Ward thought for a moment. Then he said calmly. Until we figure it out. I'll call you Nova. The girl smiled slightly. I like that. Ward nodded. Good. Because right now, Nova, you're coming with me. Her eyes widened. To the battlefield. Ward grabbed his helmet. If the enemy crossed half the galaxy just to find you. He looked at the tactical map again. Then I need to know why. Outside the station window, Terran fighters launched into space. And somewhere in the darkness beyond the stars, something ancient had just begun to wake. A war that shouldn't have happened. The interceptor fighters launched from the station like sparks from a fire. Captain Elias Ward sat in the cockpit of his command fighter while stars stretched into long white lines around him. His squadron formed up behind him, engines glowing bright blue in the darkness. Beside him, in the second seat of the fighter, the alien girl he had named Nova watched space with silent focus. She looked calm. Too calm. Ward glanced at her. You've never flown in a Terran fighter before, have you? Nova shook her head. I don't remember ever flying anything. Good, Ward said. Because this one moves fast. Ahead of them, the tactical display lit up with red warning symbols. The hidden enemy ships were activating. 5 stealth destroyers decloaked at once. Black metal hulls appeared suddenly out of empty space like shadows stepping into light. One of Ward's pilots cursed. Captain, those ships are not scouts. Ward narrowed his eyes. I can see that. These were Zirath hunter vessels, ships designed to track and capture extremely valuable targets. Which raised a terrifying question. Why send hunter ships here? Ward slowly looked at Nova. Tell me something, he said quietly. What? Are you sure you don't remember anything? Nova stared at the ships approaching them. Her glowing eyes flickered. I remember, fear. The moment that changed everything. The Zirath ships opened fire. Bright green plasma bolts streaked across space toward the Terran fighters. Ward rolled his ship sharply to the side. Break formation. Human fighters scattered instantly. Terran pilots didn't rely on rigid formations like alien fleets. They fought in fast, unpredictable patterns that made targeting difficult. One of the Zirath ships attempted to lock onto Ward's fighter. But Nova suddenly leaned forward. Move left, she shouted. Ward reacted instantly. His fighter jerked sideways. A beam of energy sliced past them exactly where they had been flying. Ward's eyes widened. How did you? Nova pointed ahead. That ship will fire again in 3 seconds. Ward trusted instinct more than explanations. He accelerated. 3 seconds later another blast tore through the exact location they had just left. Ward let out a low whistle. Well, that's useful. Something inside her mind. Nova gripped the edge of the console. Her breathing became faster. "They're thinking," she whispered. Ward blinked. "What?" "The enemy pilots." She touched her temple. "I can feel their decisions before they act." Ward frowned. "That's impossible." Nova shook her head. "No." Her eyes glowed brighter. "I think I was designed for this." The impossible strategy. Ward suddenly understood something important. If Nova could sense enemy decisions even a few seconds early, that advantage could change an entire battle. He switched channels to the squadron. "All fighters listen carefully." "Yes, sir." Ward looked at Nova. "Tell me what they're about to do." Nova stared at the tactical map. Her voice became steady. "They believe you are protecting me." Ward smirked. "They're not wrong. They will target your ship first." Ward nodded slowly. "Good." The pilots waited. Ward gave the next order. "Everyone follow my lead." The human trick. Ward suddenly pushed his fighter straight toward the largest Zirath destroyer. His squadron gasped. "Captain, what are you doing?" Ward smiled slightly. "Something stupid." Humans had a long history of winning battles by doing things that looked completely insane. Alien commanders often expected careful strategy. Humans preferred chaos. Ward's fighter flew directly toward the enemy ship. Plasma cannons turned to face him. Nova's eyes flashed. 3 weapons charging. "Timing?" Ward asked. 4 seconds. Ward counted silently. 3, 2, 1. Now! He suddenly rolled his fighter downward and accelerated beneath the destroyer's hull. The massive enemy guns fired, but their shots collided with another Zirath ship behind Ward. The 2 alien vessels slammed into each other in a storm of explosions. Ward laughed. "Works every time." Why humans are dangerous. The remaining Zirath ships hesitated. Their formation broke apart. Alien fleets usually depended on strict coordination. When something unexpected happened, their systems needed time to reorganize. Humans didn't have that weakness. Ward's squadron attacked immediately. Missiles streaked across space. Terran fighters moved like predators through the battlefield. Within minutes, another Zirath destroyer exploded into fragments. Nova watched in awe. "You planned this?" Ward shrugged. "Not exactly." "Then how?" Ward grinned. "Humans are very good at improvising." The voice from the enemy. Suddenly a strange signal interrupted the battle. A deep mechanical voice filled every communication channel. "Valori subject detected." All fighters froze. Ward looked at Nova. The voice continued. "Subject designation, Project Oracle." Nova's entire body went still. Ward felt his stomach tighten. "Oracle," he whispered. The voice spoke again. "Return the subject to Dominion control." Ward switched on the external broadcast. "Yeah, that's not happening." The Zirath voice responded calmly. "Human captain, you do not understand." Ward crossed his arms. "Then explain." There was a short pause. Then the voice delivered words that changed everything. "The Valori subject is not merely a scientist." Nova slowly turned toward Ward. Fear filled her glowing eyes. The Zirath voice finished its sentence. "She is the most powerful predictive weapon ever created." The battlefield suddenly felt much colder. Ward stared at Nova. The tattoo. The strange ability to sense enemy actions. The reason the Zirath hunters came across the galaxy. It all made sense now. Nova wasn't just an ally. She was a living strategic weapon. And the entire Dominion wanted her back. Ward leaned back in his seat and sighed. "Well," he muttered. "That explains a lot." Then he activated the squadron channel again. All pilots listen up. Yes, sir. Ward looked at Nova one more time. Looks like the enemy thinks they built the perfect weapon. Nova's voice trembled. What are we going to do? Ward smiled. We're going to show them something. What? Ward pushed his fighter forward again. The problem with human warfare. And the Terran fighters charged back into battle. The truth about Project Oracle. The battle paused for only a few seconds, but in war even seconds can feel like hours. Captain Elias Ward stared at Nova while enemy ships slowly repositioned across the stars. Project Oracle, he repeated quietly. Nova looked terrified. I remember something. Ward leaned closer. Tell me. Her voice shook as fragments of memory returned. The Zirath captured Valori scientists many years ago. Ward frowned. They forced them to build something. What? Nova swallowed. A mind that could predict war. Ward's eyes narrowed. You? Nova nodded slowly. Yes. A mind built for war. The Zirath Dominion believed wars could be solved with perfect calculation. They created an advanced neural system designed to predict battlefield outcomes. But their machines had one weakness. They were logical. Too logical. War is not always logical. So the Zirath scientists decided to use a living mind instead. A Valori mind. Valori brains were famous for pattern recognition. But they needed something else. Creativity. Unpredictability. The very thing alien civilizations struggled to understand. The thing humans were famous for. Nova whispered the final piece. They connected my mind to human battle records. Ward blinked. Mine. Yes. Nova slowly lifted her arm. That's why your name is on my skin. Why she chose him. Ward leaned back in his seat. So you studied Terran commanders? Yes. And somehow you picked me. Nova nodded. I studied thousands of human battles. Her glowing eyes met his. You were the only commander who kept winning impossible fights. Ward scratched the back of his head. That sounds like luck. Nova shook her head. No. Her voice was calm now. It was creativity. She gestured toward the battlefield. You break patterns. You confuse enemies. You make decisions no computer would ever calculate. Ward smiled slightly. That's just being human. The Zirath plan. The enemy fleet moved again. More ships dropped out of hyperspace. Huge war cruisers. Ward counted quickly. 20. Then 30. The Dominion had brought an entire task force. The mechanical voice returned. Human captain. Ward rolled his eyes. Still here. You are protecting the Oracle weapon. Ward glanced at Nova. She's not a weapon. She is. Ward sighed. Well, we're keeping her. The Zirath voice became colder. Then you will all die. A plan no computer could predict. Ward studied the tactical map. The Terran fleet was badly outnumbered. Even with Nova's predictions, they could not defeat that many ships in direct combat. But Ward wasn't planning direct combat. He looked at Nova. How far can your prediction ability reach? She closed her eyes. Several minutes into enemy decision patterns. Ward smiled slowly. Perfect. Nova frowned. What are you thinking? Ward turned to his squadron. Everyone listen carefully. Yes, Captain. We're about to do something very stupid. One pilot laughed. That usually works. Ward pointed toward the nearby asteroid belt. Full retreat. The squadron gasped. You want us to run? Ward nodded. Exactly. The human trap. Terran fighters turned and raced toward the asteroid field. The Zirath fleet followed immediately. They believed the humans were retreating. They believed they had already won. That belief was exactly what Ward needed. Nova suddenly understood. You're leading them into the asteroids. Ward grinned. Not just the asteroids. What else? Ward pointed to a blinking signal on the map. Mining charges. Thousands of them. The asteroid belt had been heavily mined for resources, which meant every large rock contained explosive fuel cores. Nova's eyes widened. You're turning the entire asteroid belt into a bomb. Ward nodded calmly. Welcome to Terran engineering. The explosion. The Zerath ships chased the Terran fighters deep into the asteroid field. Huge alien cruisers maneuvered carefully between the rocks. But their size made them slow. Too slow. Ward activated the detonator. Now. The asteroid belt exploded. Thousands of mining charges ignited at once. Massive chunks of rock blasted apart. Shockwaves slammed into the enemy fleet. Cruisers collided with debris. Destroyers shattered against spinning asteroids. Entire formations collapsed. Ward's squadron escaped the blast zone just in time. Behind them, the battlefield turned into chaos. Humanity's secret weapon. The remaining Zerath ships retreated. Their perfect calculations had failed. Their predictive weapon was gone. And once again, humans had broken the rules. Nova watched the battlefield quietly. You didn't defeat them with superior weapons. Ward shrugged. Nope. Or superior technology. Nope. She looked at him carefully. Then how? Ward smiled. Imagination. The final memory. Later that night, the Terran fleet gathered above the colony. The battle was over. Nova stood beside Ward in the observation deck. More memories were returning now. She finally understood everything. I remember the moment I escaped the Dominion. Ward raised an eyebrow. Oh. They said my mind could predict every battle in the galaxy. And? Nova smiled softly. I proved them wrong. How? She lifted her arm and looked at the tattoo. I chose a human. Ward laughed quietly. Good choice. Nova looked out at the stars. For the first time in my life. I feel free. Ward crossed his arms. Get used to it. Because somewhere beyond the galaxy, other empires were watching. And they were beginning to understand something terrifying. Humans were not the strongest species. They were not the oldest. They were not the most advanced. But humans possessed something far more dangerous. The ability to turn the impossible into a plan. And that was something no alien civilization had ever learned how to defeat.